And now the curtain rises.
Hello everyone, I am String from GG2String and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be using my skills as a nerd and combining them with my tutoring skills that I used to make other people nerds by teaching you guys how to play Thrall in Skyrim's Special Edition. For those of you who don't know, Thrall is an extremely powerful shaman turned farmer and an all-around great dude in the World of Warcraft universe. But this video is going to be very long, so without further ado, let's just get into the build. So recently, my friends and I have gotten pretty into D&D, and it is through that experience with Dungeons & Dragons that I realized how important a good backstory is. So I have crafted a pretty lengthy backstory that I think you guys will really enjoy. So, Goel was born in High Rock on the outskirts of the city, nearby, but not part of, an Orcish stronghold. His family lived a very peaceful life, farming and hunting on their own, and very rarely venturing into the city or near the stronghold. Only in times of need to sell things would his family venture into the city, and only on special occasions would they venture to the stronghold. On their city excursions, Goel would always ask his parents to buy him any books about magic that they could afford, so that he could study the mystical ways of nature. During their few and far between visits to the stronghold, Goel made extremely close friends with the only other male orc child in his age range, the hot-headed Grulok Doomhammer, son to the stronghold's chief, Ogruk Doomhammer. Grulok was very aggressive and prideful, but overall a kind-natured and protective person. Ogruk, on the other hand, the chief of the stronghold, was a very noble leader, helping out any orcs who came to his stronghold seeking it, as well as providing Goel's family with anything that they should ask for. In their meetings with the local Breton Nords, Ogruk was very diplomatic, despite the obvious and exaggerated disdain with which the Breton people would treat him as well as his people. One day, when Goel's family went into the city to sell some of their crops and procure a new book for Goel to study, his family was approached by 4 Breton knights, who might have had a little bit too much to drink that night. These knights self-titled themselves as the Noble Guard, and were known to the local orcs to be extremely racist and aggressive. However, they were not typically known to be violent. The leader of the Noble Guard, a man named Tristane Whitcroft, proceeded to push Goel's father to the ground and spit on him. Goel's father, another peaceful man, did not offer any resistance to Tristane, so Tristane, emboldened by this fact, got even more aggressive, and then started turning violent. He began kicking and punching Goel's father, and eventually, because Goel's father still did not put up any resistance, the other members of the Noble Guard began joining in on the fun. Eventually, things began to escalate when Tristane, after having a little bit more alcohol, began to pull out a dagger and started to approach Goel's mother. This act prompted Goel's father to act in return, and he jumped in the way to defend his wife, leaving the knight open to strike him across the chest with his dagger, leaving him injured but alive. Upon seeing this, Goel's mother screamed out in rage and fell to her knees in an attempt to protect her husband. As the rest of the Noble Guard drew their weapons and began to near Goel's parents, Grulok Doomhammer, the son of the chief, jumps out from the nearby forest and slashes at Tristane's wrist with his sword, causing both his hand and his dagger to fall to the ground. Surprised by this, the rest of the Noble Guard begin to get extremely angry as they all ready their weapons and charge at Grulok. Seeing this, Goel unleashed a burst of electricity that jumped between all 3 of the Noble Guard members' armors, giving them a nice jolt and actually knocking out one member. This didn't stop the remaining 2 Noble Guardsmen from approaching with their swords drawn, and Goel knew that this would be a fight that would not end well for him and Grulok. He knew that they would need to run, and so that's what he told his family and Grulok to do. They bolted, only to be pursued by a now extremely angry Tristane and one more member of the Noble Guard. So Grulok turned, and Goel knew that he had to save him. They did fight, and together Grulok and Goel were able to first hold off Tristane and his Noble Guard friend. Grulok stood on defense, blocking every swing of the enemy with his own blade, while Goel retaliated in every opening he saw with a burst of lightning. However, they couldn't keep this up forever, as the more experienced knights soon gained the upper hand in the combat, disarming Grulok and using their Breton blood to sustain well out and to tire Goel's magic supply. As Trystane stood up, ready to strike down Grulok, Goel's father leapt in the way of the blade, sacrificing himself for the younger orc. Seeing this, Goel's mother now entered an orcish frenzy and charged at Trystane in order to take revenge for her husband's life, only to be too struck down immediately by the remaining member of the noble guard. As Grulok and Goel prepared for their end right after this, crashing through the trees to defend his son soon came Orgruk, smashing his warhammer right into Trystane's face, and then against the chest of the remaining noble guardsmen. Grulok informed his father of the remaining 2 members, so his father went to finish them off, and had Grulok escort Goel back to the stronghold. Goel spent the next few days grieving over the loss of his family. Orgruk asked if he would like to become a Doomhammer, and Goel accepted the adoption, staying in the stronghold for a while and learning how to wield a warhammer from his adoptive father. However, not long after this, Orgruk, fearing the Britons would soon retaliate at the orcs, sent his sons off to explore Tamriel, asking them to find any other strongholds that need more help than theirs did, and to provide that help. They spent the first year or 2 searching the area around High Rock, helping as many of their brethren as possible, before receiving word from Orgruk that they would have to come back to the stronghold to prepare for a trip to Skyrim, where there would be some orcs that would need their protection from the horrors of the civil war going on. When they arrived, however, Grulok noticed that the stronghold was not as prosperous as it was when they left. After inquiring as to why, they learned that the Bretons have gotten more aggressive, attacking the stronghold and its outlying farms. This sparked a rage deep inside Grulok, who began to scream and yell at his father for not showing the local Bretons that they cannot just walk all over the orcs, for not bringing the fight to them. Orgruk told his sons that they are now old enough to act as they please, but to be sure to mind the consequences of their actions, and that violence was not always the answer, proclaiming that the ultimate goal for all is peace between every creature. Goel took this to heart, but Grulok saw this as weakness and abandoned the stronghold, seeking to take revenge on the hostile Bretons. It was a whole 3 months before Goel saw his brother again. And when he finally did, his brother was very weak and gravely injured. Goel attempted to save his friend's life, but Grulok told him it was too late, and that what he really needs to do is heed their father's words of old, that peace was the only way to unite all creatures. He also told him that Malakath himself told Grulok that Goel was to be the savior of this world, and in turn, the Orcish people. All he'd need to do is head to Skyrim to fulfill his destiny. After saying his last final words, Grulok perished in his friend's arms. After mourning over the loss of Grulok, Orgruk gave his son some of the finest gear in their stronghold and sent him off to Skyrim to live out not only his destiny, but also the wishes of his now passed brother. Okay, that was extremely long. So now that the backstory is finally out of the way, let's go ahead and get on to the armory. So, as far as armor itself, you will want the entire shaman set, shaman set from the Immersive Armors mod. You can pick either the light armor or armored set. I liked the light armor set, just because that's what it defaults to and I didn't want to change it. But if you did want to change it to unarmored, then you could make a much better use of alteration than my build does. You will also want Volendrung as your weapon. As soon as you get to Skyrim, your goal is to do... well, we'll get into that later. So you will want to be an orc with green skin and gray eyes, with long black hair, and the best beard that you can muster. You will want a taller and more thick, muscular build on your character. You will want the Atronach Stone so that your fallen enemies help you regenerate magicka. And speaking of magicka, you will want to put 30% of your level ups into magicka, and the remaining 70% of your level ups into health. Stamina is not necessary for this build because you can enchant your gear if you really feel like you want stamina, but also Volendrung's enchantment of sapping magicka every time you hit someone pretty much makes it unnecessary to have stamina unless you're fighting someone who also doesn't have stamina. But again, stamina is not very important because you're not always going to be using two-handed, and when you are absorbing their stamina almost all of the time. So the necessary skills for this build are two-handed, destruction, alteration, enchanting, smithing, speech, conjuration, and light armor. If you did pick the light armor set, you can go ahead and toss that one out if you didn't pick the light armor set. So now let's go ahead and get on into the perks. So for destruction, you're going to want to take destruction dual casting, destruction mastery, war of the elements, and then all of the shock tree. All of it. So for two-handed, you're going to want all of the Warhammer perks. And those are the most important too. Because those are your main forms of combat, and also the rest of everything is not very important. So for conjuration, you're going to want conjuration mastery. For alteration, you're going to want alteration mastery. For light armor, you're going to want light armor mastery. Seeing a trend here? Light armor fit and unhindered. So for speech, you're going to want speech mastery. For enchanting, you're going to want enchanting mastery, soul siphon, thunderstruck, as well as the entire middle branch ranging from gem dust to miracle. And then for smithing, you're just going to want anything you need to get to arcane blacksmith. So for gameplay, as far as role-playing, you're going to want to be a very diplomatic character, never rushing into things with violence. You will want to persuade people first, and then only if that should fail, then you should attempt to intimidate them, and then only if you've exhausted all other options, finally, as a last resort, will you go to violence. In combat, you should open up by summoning either an Atronach, you can do shock, frost, or fire, or maybe just some wolves to go ahead and help mimic feral spirit from the Warcraft universe, and then the Atronachs will help you mimic elementals because they are elementals. But this is not a conjuration build, so as soon as you get summons out of the way, or actually a summon out of the way, you're going to immediately want to go ahead and switch to some shock spells and start firing them off, as many as possible until you run out of magicka. Once you run out of magicka, you're going to go ahead and want to wield the legendary Orcish Warhammer Volendrung and just begin to go ham. As far as quest lines for this build, you will want to first pursue the main quest line, stopping to help the Cursed Tribe as soon as you get the opportunity. I think you have to be level 9, if I'm not mistaken. You want to do the College of Winterhold along the way, honing your magic skills to become a true master of storm magic, as well as pursuing the Dawnguard storyline, siding with the Dawnguard, as well as the Dragonborn DLC because, you're the only one that can save the world. Should you come across the Dark Brotherhood, you are to eliminate them, as well as you are to ignore the Thieves Guild's attempts to recruit you. You should not participate in the Civil War, however you can do the Companions. You just only need to cure yourself of lycanthropy. You will also want to help out any strongholds that you come across along the way, whether that be, buying stuff from them to go ahead and give them money to support themselves, just go around talking to them, getting to know your local orcs who are indeed the main people you will care about. So yeah, that should be about it as far as gameplay, role-playing, stats, all of that, everything you need to make this build successful. I should have just given you. So if I did forget anything, please go ahead and leave it in the description below, or not description, oops, comment section down below, and I'll go ahead and try to answer it there. If you guys did enjoy this video, please feel free to leave a like and a comment below. If this content interests you, please be sure to subscribe. If you have any ideas for builds, whether it be a concept or a backstory, please feel free to leave it below and I'll try to see if I can make it into a video for you guys. But for now, that should be it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and peace.